So these bring information to the brain, and then the brain processes that information, decides on a course of action, and initiates the response to that stimulus, okay? The brain cannot move anything, but the brain, in turn, will stimulate efferent neurons, whose job is to stimulate muscles or glands, okay? The efferent neurons are of two types. Remember that there are three types of muscles, and that will help you remember what these neurons are doing. Muscles don't contract by themselves under normal circumstances. Neurons coordinate the contraction of muscles. All right? Now, the three types of muscles are skeletal muscle that is under voluntary control. That means that you can move skeletal muscle just by thinking about it. You can will it to move. It's not moving by itself, so some type of neuron must be, the brain says, okay, I want to move this muscle. The brain can't move it, but it sends a message to this muscle by way of what kind of neurons? Somatic efferent neurons. Efferent neurons carry information from the brain to muscles and glands, away from the central nervous system. If the muscle is under voluntary control, then the type of neurons that will be stimulating that muscle that moves when you want it to move, these will be called somatic efferent neurons. They stimulate voluntary muscle to move. They stimulate it to move, okay? If something cuts the highway of nerves from the brain, like suppose there's an injury to the spinal cord, and the brain wants to move this arm, but if the injury is high enough, what happens? Can you still move the arm? You get paralyzed. Why? Because that highway from the brain is interrupted, and the efferent neurons can't respond to what the brain is saying, okay? So voluntary muscles are stimulated by somatic efferents. The other two types of muscles are cardiac involuntary muscle and visceral involuntary muscle. Visceral muscles are found in the walls of the viscera. Viscera refers to the body organs: stomach, intestines, esophagus when you swallow. All of that happens by muscle contractions, okay? But we can't consciously control those muscle contractions. Instead, controlling those muscles are responsible for carrying out the so-called vital functions of the body. Things like regulating body temperature, okay, automatically. One important way to regulate body temperature is by opening or dilating blood vessels or constricting others. All right, so when we get too cold, then the blood vessels that take the blood closer to the surface of the skin will constrict, whereas the blood vessels that take blood deeper beneath the skin will dilate or get bigger. That way more blood goes deeper beneath the body and less heat escapes from the blood, okay? That is a feature of warm-blooded animals that can keep their body temperatures the same as the outside temperature fluctuates. Okay. If you swallow food or drink, let's say you swallow a big piece of food, then what will automatically happen are waves of contraction called peristalsis. Peristalsis happens in tube-like structures like the esophagus, like the stomach, like the intestine. And it's like squeezing toothpaste. So if this is a tube and food gets to this level here, then the muscles above this will squeeze, whereas at the same time the muscles below that will relax. And the food gets squeezed down and squeezed down in waves of contractions called peristalsis. Okay? That is automatically controlled by neurons of the autonomic nervous system. In that example, the enteric division neurons of the autonomic nervous system. Okay? But still, muscles are, the contraction of muscles is a function of the nervous system, one of the many functions. Okay, now so the vital functions such as temperature control, things that doctors and nurses will measure when you go into the emergency room. They're taking your vital signs. What would that include? What do they measure? Blood pressure,
Heart rate,
your heart rate,
pulse,
sugar. They might analyze the amount of sugars.
your pulse,
Your pulse,
if
which
your
is
pupils
reflection
are
of the heart
dilated.
rate. Okay.
They
They
check
might
your
even
hearing.
tap your knee and see if it kicks,
and your eye.
and shine light in your eyes
See if your
to see if the
pupils are
pupils will
dilated.
constrict.
And sometimes they look at your ears too, with the little. They look in your ears too with the
They look
scope.
for other things. I'm sorry, I didn't turn this sucker off, and that's my very important person, my financial planner. I'm sorry, I'm gonna take this for a minute, it's important.